What are the odds of a roller coaster accident occurring? Or better yet, what are the chances of dying on a roller coaster? Well, in the United States, the odds of dying in a roller coaster accident are as low as 1 in 750 million people. And according to statistics, the odds of sustaining an injury at a theme park are 1 in 9 million, and the chances of being injured on an actual ride are 1 in 24 million. In fact, you're more likely to be injured while traveling to a theme park than while you're there. Unfortunately, even with these stats, some people end up being unlucky. July 14th, 2022. The residents of Aarhus, Denmark, witnessed a disaster so sudden and unexpected that it left many in mourning and others wondering what had gone wrong. Tragedy struck when the rear car of a roller coaster at Tivoli Friheden in Denmark slid off its tracks, resulting in the death of a joyful, playful 14-year-old girl who had traveled all the way from Copenhagen, and injury to 2 other children who were on the ride with her. This is the tragic story of the Cobra coaster accident that claimed the life of a 14-year-old girl, injured 2 other children, and left several people dangling. The world-famous Tivoli Friheden amusement park can be found in Aarhus, Denmark, only 2 kilometers south of the city center. With more than 40 different attractions and many themed areas, the park is a great place for families to spend a day doing fun things together. Its doors were first opened to the public in 1958, and ever since it has been operating to the benefit of its neighborhood. One of the most famous and popular roller coasters at the amusement park is the Cobra ride. The ride was an inverted roller coaster with a peak speed that exceeded 40 miles per hour. Satori Energizers was responsible for its design, and the ride carried riders on an extremely winding path and reached heights of around 82 meters. The path was approximately 400 meters long, and due to the attraction's speed and layout, it was easily comparable to Alton Tower's Oblivion, located in Staffordshire, United Kingdom. As a result, it was extremely popular with the general public, generating approximately 4.5 Gs on the riders. However, on July 14th, everything changed when the ride was responsible for the death of a 14-year-old girl who had been traveling in the rear car of the ride at the time of the accident. You see, at around 12:40 p.m. CEST on that particular day, the little girl and a few other excited riders boarded the upside-down ride and prepared themselves for a few minutes of twists, turns, and dips. However, tragically, the little girl and the other riders had no idea that this would be her last ride, as a terrible accident was about to occur. As the ride began its ascent up the first hill, the individuals who were on it, as well as the others who were standing around them, shouted and laughed with joy. However, for some inexplicable reason, the ride came to a stop when it was only 10 feet from the ground. The ride soon returned to normal, which quickly eased the concerns of the vast majority of riders, who had every right to feel uneasy about the weird stall. However, a few minutes into the ride, at about 12:50 p.m. CEST, there was a large bang from the carriage that caught everyone's attention, as the rear car of the ride's carriage decoupled from the rail and was now hanging under the wagon of the train. Many began screaming and crying as they watched the train reach its full speed, with several people trapped in the decoupled car. Word quickly spread around the neighborhood that people were stuck in a ride. The local authorities were then notified, and they sent first responders to the scene straight away. As soon as the transport came to a stop, the first responders began ministering to the individuals on board. They even sent a girl from Copenhagen who was 14 years old and a small child who had damaged his arm to the closest hospital. Unfortunately, the girl died just 90 minutes after the accident, making this the first time the Cobra ride had been linked to a death. The boy, on the other hand, was taken to the hospital for treatment of significant arm injuries. Despite the fact that this was the first accident that resulted in a fatality, it was not the first accident overall. See, a similar accident took place in 2008, not long after the ride first opened, when 2 chairs from the attraction went off their tracks, causing significant damage to the legs and feet of 4 passengers who were riding them at the time. Though one of them sustained a severe concussion, fortunately, none of them lost their lives in the accident. After the incident that occurred in 2008, an investigation was carried out, and the results of the investigation revealed that the disaster had been brought about by a construction flaw in the ride itself. The majority of people believe that a mistake was at the root of the tragedy that befell the little child. Following the accident, the ride and the park were closed for an investigation. As theme park director Henrik Ragborg Olesen said, "I have no words. It is deeply tragic and absolutely terrible that there is a child of 14 years who has died here in our park, where you have to be happy together and have good experiences." The park was promptly closed when the young girl was reported to have passed away at around 2:20 p.m. CEST, as reported by TV2 News. However, at the time of the accident, the park was full of people who had witnessed it and were screaming and crying about what had happened. This caused the evacuation of the park to be such a chaotic mess that the authorities were forced to join in with the staff of the park to help get people out in an orderly manner. Following the accident, the park issued a statement saying, "It's hard for us to put into words the tragic accident of today, where a girl lost her life and a boy was injured. Our heartfelt thoughts are with the girl and the girl's relatives, family, and friends. Our thoughts are also with the boy, our staff, and the many visitors at the park earlier today. We are cooperating with East Jutland Police and are now awaiting the technical investigations regarding the accident." The director, Olesen, also added that after the 2008 accident and this current one in 2022, they no longer have confidence in the attraction being safe enough for it to continue at the park. As such, there is a high possibility that it will be torn down. Another commentator, Jennifer Ann Bean, who was also on the ride, said, "I was on that particular ride a few weeks ago. I sat on that part of it and pointed out that I thought it was unsafe. My thoughts are with the relatives, the staff, and the poor girl who has passed away." While the authorities continue investigating the accident, they have decided not to release the identities of the involved persons. As part of these investigations, the Danish Technological Institute will lend technical assistance at the accident site. In the meantime, the authorities have already spoken to at least 50 witnesses and aim to get to the bottom of the problem as quickly as possible. However, the amusement park has begun to accept responsibility for the catastrophe, as it announced that it would provide free counseling and therapy to everyone who observed the event and felt the need for it, as well as to the relatives and victims of the accident. As the investigations continue at the Tivoli Friheden theme park, the park's board of directors has unanimously decided to close the Cobra for good. According to Hans N. Hansen, a member of the board and part of the ownership group, there is complete agreement on the board to tear down the ride. Sadly, the event has resulted in a significant decrease in the number of people who visit the theme park. It continues to linger in the minds of those who reside in the surrounding area, and to this day, a tribute to the little girl who the Cobra murdered can be found right outside the park's entrance. But what do you think? Please share your thoughts with us in the comment area below. Don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to our channel for more infamous accidents. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did, make sure you check out this next one.